Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for visiting Rabbani Research. We will talk on Neurotech today. Neurotech at work. Nitafarahany is the author of The Battle for Your Brain, and his article in Harvard Business Review, published in March-April 2023, is the basis of our today's presentation. In this article, the author provides an overview of the neurotechnology landscape and offers guidance on how companies should balance the risks and benefits of using neurotech devices in the workplace. The era of brand surveillance has begun. Advances in neuroscience and artificial intelligence are converging to give us an affordable and soon to be widely available generation of consumer neurotech devices. A catch-all term for gadgets that, with the help of dry electrodes, connect human brains to computers and the ever more sophisticated algorithm that analyze the brain wave data. Today, the global market for neurotech is growing at a compound annual rate of 12% and is expected to reach 21 billion by 2026. This is not a fad. It's a new way of living and thinking about ourselves and our well-being, personally and professionally. Brain sensors. Brain sensors have a rapidly expanding range of personal applications using a simple wearable device that measures electrical activity in the brain or at muscle junctions throughout the body. You can now get graphical real-time displays of your brain activity and bioelectric changes in the muscles. You can use those displays to see your emotions, your arousal, and your alertness. Neurotech devices also have a rapidly expanding range of commercial and managerial applications. Companies across the globe have started to integrate neural interface into watches, headphones, earbuds, hard hats, caps, and VR headsets for use in the workplace to monitor fatigue, track attention, boost productivity, enhance safety, decrease stress, and create a more responsive work environment. You can see these are the emitters and these are the shallow detectors, and these are the deep detectors. Shallow detector at this place and deep detector at this place. Advances in neurotechnology. Thousands of companies worldwide in industries such as construction, trucking, and aviation already use neurotech devices to ensure that their employees are wide awake. Advances in the neurotechnology certainly raise significant privacy concerns for employees. Will they know that brain data is being collected or how their employer will use it? Whatever is gained in workplace safety or productivity could be offset by the loss of employee trust, an essential ingredient of corporate success. Employees in high trust organizations are more productive, have more energy, collaborate better, and are more loyal. Employees in low trust companies feel empowered and become disengaged, and disengagement matters. It's recently been estimated that corporations in the United States lost 450 billion to 550 billion each year because of disengagement. An example of a heavy truck. The dangers are real, but in some situations, for example, ensuring that a driver of a 40-ton truck is not falling asleep at the wheel, brain monitoring at work seems like a very good idea. It's hard to argue that a driver's Right to mental privacy trumps public safety. To navigate this territory successfully, business leaders need guidance. I have been studying this subject for years. I am a professor of law and philosophy at Duke University, where I specialize in the legal and ethical issues of emerging technologies, with a particular focus on neurotechnology. The big tech. Big tech is investing heavily to replace peripherals such as computer mouse and the keyboards with neural interfaces integrated into headsets, earbuds, and wrist-worn devices. So now is the time to start thinking in practical terms about how best to engage with the world that's opening before us in ways that thoughtfully consider the interest of employers, and society. The lay of the land. Let's start by taking stock of three ways in which neurotechnology is already being used in the workplace: the track fatigue to monitor attention and focus, and to adapt the work environment to workers' brains. Tracking fatigue. In 2019, Im Eckert, the CEO of smartcap, made a bold proclamation. He announced that his company's flagship tool, the lifeband fatigue tracking headboard with embedded EEG sensors that can be worn alone or integrated into a hard hat or cap, would transform the American trucking industry. The lifeband gathers brain waves data and processes it through smartcap's life applications, which uses proprietary algorithm to assess wearers' fatigue level on a scale from 1 to 5. 1 means hyper alert and 5 means involuntary sleep. When the system detects that a worker is becoming dangerously drowsy, it sends an early warning to both the employee and the manager. Fatigue also levies catastrophic cost on society. In Chicago, a transit authority train jumped its track entering a station at O'Hara International Airport after the driver fell asleep. The train careened onto an escalator, injuring 32 people. In New York, a sleep-deprived train engineer fell asleep while operating a computer train from one place to another. The train took a 30 mile per hour curve at 82 mile per hour and derailed, killing 4 people, injuring 70, and causing millions of dollars in damage. Tracking brain activity. Given the lack of societal norms and laws regarding tracking brain activity in general, for how companies are simply creating their own rules about fatigue monitoring, some use smart caps and similar technologies to optimize employees' working conditions. Others are likely to use the technologies punitively, because that's typically how employers approach workplace surveillance. A recent study of companies that track how their employees use their computers found that 26% of the employers had fired workers for misusing the internet, and 25% had fired them for misusing emails. It is not hard to imagine that what might happen when firms are able to regularly monitor not just employees' computers but also brains. Monitoring attention and focus. Many of us lack the ability to focus for long stretches at a time. To illustrate how the system works, Outlier described a hypothetical situation. A data scientist wearing the MNB has spent several hours video conferencing with her team and is now reviewing code. The system has used her alpha brain wave activity to index the attentive state of her brain. The proprietary algorithm sees that her attention is flagging, so it sends a message to the laptop. Christina, it's time for a break. Do you want to take a short talk or do a 5-minute guided meditation to reset your focus? Cognitive ergonomics, making the workplace safer and more adaptive to employees' well-being. In cognitive ergonomics, you see that this is a human psychology, human physiology, neuroscience, management science, cognitive science, computer science, psychophysics, consumer science, and mechanical science. This is all combined is cognitive ergonomics. It is one of the most promising new applications of neurotechnology. Employers might soon even be able to nudge employees back to work when their minds start to wander. The MIT Media Lab has developed a system called attentivu, which measures a person's engagement via EEG sensors embedded in a pair of glasses and a wearable scarf. The device provides haptic feedback whenever the wearer's engagement declines. Researchers found that people who received haptic feedback logged higher alertness scores than those who didn't. While the Media Lab is excited about the result, it acknowledges the risk for misuse, saying it hopes no one will be forced to use the system whether in work or school setting. Creative ideas. And talking to creative ideas, you can see that inspiration, vision, growth, idea, process, development, and then creativity. These are all combined for innovation. Creativity is the thought and innovation is the product. As Albert Einstein and Isaac Newton both acknowledged, creative ideas depend as much on minds wandering as staying on task. And research across 900 Boston Consulting Group teams in 30 countries has shown that mental downtime increases alertness, improves creativity, and leads to a greater output quality. When workers know that their attention is being monitored, they may attempt to minimize mental downtime by doing things to actively bring their attention and focus back to the task at hand, out of fear of appearing unproductive. It is not just employees' productivity that can suffer, it is their health too. When employees lack mental downtime, they often experience serious job strain, which has been strongly linked to a variety of health problems, depression and anxiety, ulcers, cardiovascular trouble, and even suicidal thoughts. Workplace brain surveillance. Workplace brain surveillance to monitor levels of attention, stress, and other cognitive and emotional functions has stark and significant downsides. It has potential benefits too, including enhanced employee productivity, but at this point, these benefits are purely speculative. So, for now, I would recommend that employers steer clear of engaging in this type of brain surveillance. Creating more adaptive work environment. As neurotechnology, AI, and robotics continue to advance, we can expect a future in which brain activity neural interface devices are used to make the workplace more adaptive. Penn State researchers, for example, are experimenting with EEG headsets for employees that provide input to robots which then calibrate their pace of work to the employee's state of mind. In one experiment, participants wear EEG headsets that monitored their cognitive loads and detected signs of stress. The robotics co-workers reacted to the data by slowing down, speeding up, or keeping a steady pace, giving the workers just the right amount of room to maximize their productivity without stressing them out. EEG sensors. Other researchers have found that EEG sensors could help monitor and address the greater cognitive load that assembly workers bear as automation becomes the norm in industrial setting and they are tasked with increasingly complex assembly procedures. In one recent study, researchers in Belgium had participants perform assembly tasks in a simulated factory setting while being subjected to varying level of cognitive load, high and overload, low, high and overload. The researchers found that by tracking EEG activity and eye movement, they could differentiate between a high cognitive load and cognitive overload, which can produce errors, safety hazards, and detrimental health effects on workers. A smart manufacturing system of the future could automatically adapt production levels to allow for higher cognitive loads while avoiding overloads, ushering in a new era of cognitive ergonomics. The case for and against digital employees. The human factor team also discovered a simple yet powerful way to address meeting fatigue. By monitoring the brain wave activity of employees who volunteered to participate, the team learned that people who took short breaks between meetings had lower level of stress compared to people attending back-to-back meetings. Providing guided brainwave-based meditation during the breaks also improved well-being and ability to focus in subsequent meetings. Using brain wearables responsibly. To reap the maximum benefit from brain wearables in the workplace while minimizing the risks, firms must adopt policies and practices that specify how and when they are used. To start, this will require action in 5 key areas. Area 1. Employee rights. Employees have a right to mental privacy. Governments should codify that as part of the international human rights privacy. A right to mental privacy would place the burden on corporations to identify a specific use for brain wearables that is limited in scope to legitimate purposes such as monitoring fatigue in commercial drivers or tracking attention air traffic controllers. A right to mental privacy would also prohibit unauthorized access to other brainwave data that may be collected incidentally during legal monitoring. Even then, companies should be prohibited from using data for any purpose other than the one it was originally gathered for. The next is we have talked about employee rights, and the next is privacy laws and regulation. Employers should stay abreast of biometrics, privacy laws, and implement policies consistent with their requirements. The collection of brainwave data is or soon will be subject to stringent privacy laws and regulatory requirements in some US jurisdictions. The failure to obtain prior written consent and provide adequate disclosure to employees can have costly financial implications for employers. Terms of use. When appropriate, employers should offer employees the opportunity to use brain wearables at work to monitor their own levels of stress and waning attention or increasing cognitive load. Companies may also choose to offer guided meditation and other neurofeedback tools to employees who would like to improve their well-being. If employees elect to use those tools, firms should not access or mine the neural data collected unless employees explicitly give the consent for this and its use for a specific purpose. Employees must have right to obtain a copy of any neural data collected about them along with any interpretators drawn from it. To use these tools without consent constitutes a breach of trust, undermining the value they would otherwise create. Disclosure. Regardless of biometric data collection laws or other regulations, employers should be transparent with employees about the data they are collecting from brain wearables devices and how they intend to use that information. They should specify the purpose for which brain data is being collected and what actions they will take on in response to insights drawn from it. They should also collect data from brain wearables only when the employee is working. If, for example, an employer issues headphones embedded with EEG sensors and the employee is permitted to use those headphones not just at work but also for leisure activities, employers should not collect neural data during off hours. Storing brain data. Employers should adopt best practices for data minimization and store brain data on employees' own devices and not on servers of the device manufacturers, software companies or employers whenever possible. This is critical. People associate their sense of self most closely with the information in their own minds, which makes neural data particularly sensitive. A machine learning algorithm improve the ability to mine and interpret neural data will also improve, enabling firms to learn far more about what employees are feeling or thinking and about cognitive or affective changes to their brains over time. Employers should adopt security safeguards against the risk of unauthorized access, destruction, disclosure, or use of neural data. For example, companies should make sure that brain data is overwritten once its limited purpose has been served. Wish you best of luck. We are business consultants based in Pakistan. If you need to accelerate your organizational performance and transform your company to meet the upcoming business challenges for a better tomorrow, please contact us for a turnaround. You can find us at rabbaniresearch.net. Trust Rabbani for quality competence. Thank you so much.